you are enjoying a dish that, at first glance, seems delicious and harmless. However, what you don't see can be a real nightmare for your health. Many people don't know this, but undercooked foods, especially meats such as pork and fish, are true breeding grounds for worms and parasites. These foods can contain worm larvae or eggs, which, when consumed, become a silent threat to your well-being. Let's explore how this happens. When preparing pork or fish, it is essential to ensure that they are cooked thoroughly. The intense heat during cooking kills many parasites that may be present, but if the meat does not reach the proper temperature, these worms can survive and find their way into your body. These parasites can cause a range of health problems, from gastrointestinal discomfort to serious infections. Furthermore, the risk is not limited to meats alone. Raw or poorly washed foods, such as fruits and vegetables, can also be a gateway for these microscopic invaders. You may be wondering how this happens. Many of these parasites live in the soil and can contaminate fruits and vegetables that have not been properly washed. When you consume these foods raw, the worms and their eggs enter your digestive system and begin to settle in your body. They can cause symptoms such as abdominal pain, diarrhea, and even more serious problems, depending on the type of worm. What can you do to protect yourself? The answer is simple and straightforward. Food hygiene is crucial. Washing fruits and vegetables thoroughly before eating them is a fundamental practice. In addition, when preparing meats, it is important to cook them at an appropriate temperature, ensuring that all parasites are killed. Using a thermometer to check the internal temperature of food can be an effective way to ensure that you are eating safely. Food hygiene is not just a matter of convenience. It is a matter of health and safety. By adopting proper cleaning and cooking practices, you not only avoid the risk of parasitic infections, but you also promote a healthier and safer diet for you and your family. Remember, what seems like a small oversight can have major consequences for your health. So be vigilant and take good care of the food you consume, because your health and well-being depend on it. It may seem surreal, but the water you think is pure can be full of parasites that threaten your health. In many parts of the world, especially in regions with poor sanitation, the water you use for drinking, cooking, or even bathing can be contaminated with invisible parasites. These parasites can cause a myriad of health problems, and the threat is more real than you might think. Contaminated water is a serious problem, especially in areas that do not have an adequate treatment system. Many times, people end up drinking water from rivers, wells, and lakes, without knowing that it can be loaded with parasites. These bodies of water may seem clean, but the reality is that they can be home to a variety of harmful parasites. What may seem like a refreshing, natural source of water can be a source of contamination, especially if the water is not properly treated. A common example is Giardia, a microscopic parasite that causes an infection known as giardiasis. People can contract giardiasis by drinking contaminated water or even by swimming in contaminated bodies of water. Symptoms can range from mild discomfort to serious problems, such as severe diarrhea and abdominal pain. Another parasite often found in contaminated water is schistosoma, which causes schistosomiasis. This parasite can penetrate the skin during contact with contaminated water and settle in various organs, causing a range of health problems. It is not just the water you drink that can be contaminated. Water used to wash food or bathe can also be a source of infection if not properly treated. Contaminated water can affect not only your health, but also the health of your entire family. If you live in an area where water treatment is unreliable or if you travel to places with poor sanitation, it is essential to take extra precautions. A simple and effective way to ensure that the water you consume is safe is to invest in a good filtration system. Quality water filters can remove many types of parasites and ensure that the water you drink is safe. Additionally, boiling water before consumption is a practice that can eliminate many parasites and bacteria. If you are in an area where drinking water is a concern, it is always best to err on the side of caution. Staying informed and taking preventative measures are crucial steps to protecting your health. Water is essential for life, but it can also be a source of dangerous infections if not treated properly. So be aware of the quality of the water you consume and take the necessary precautions to ensure that your water is clean and safe. Your health and that of your family depend on it, and being informed is key to avoiding serious problems. We live in a world where most of us have access to basic sanitation, but for millions of people in rural and urban areas, the reality is very different. The lack of adequate sanitation facilities and the practice of defecating in the open are serious problems that can lead to serious and dangerous contamination by worms. These parasites, which may seem invisible and distant from our daily lives, have a real and devastating impact on the health of people living in these conditions. In regions where basic sanitation is poor, soil contamination with human or animal feces is a constant concern. Imagine a scenario where, after defecating outdoors, the feces end up being absorbed by the soil and contaminating the surrounding area. This contaminated soil could be the same soil that children play in or where food is grown. When feces mix with the soil, worm eggs, which may be present in this feces, have the chance to develop and become a real threat to anyone who comes into contact with this soil. Worms, such as Ascaris and Ancylostoma, have a life cycle that depends on the soil for their survival. Ascaris, for example, is a roundworm that can reach impressive sizes and cause serious health problems, such as abdominal pain and intestinal obstruction. Its eggs are released into the environment through feces and, when they come into contact with the soil, they can survive for long periods. When a person comes into contact with contaminated soil, these eggs can be accidentally ingested and, thus, the worms lodge in the digestive system, causing a series of complications. Similarly, Ancylostoma, also known as hookworm, is a parasite that enters the body through the skin. It can penetrate the skin of people who walk barefoot on contaminated soil, especially in areas where sanitation is inadequate. Once in the body, these worms travel to the intestine and cause a range of symptoms, from abdominal pain to severe anemia. For those who live in areas without access to adequate sanitation, the risk of infection is very high. Children, in particular, are more exposed to these conditions because they play in the soil and have the habit of putting their hands in their mouths. Without proper treatment of feces and good hygiene, the cycle of contamination is perpetuated, affecting the health of entire communities. The solution to this problem is not simple, but it is essential. Improving sanitation conditions, building adequate toilets, and promoting personal hygiene practices are key steps in combating this threat. Education about the importance of hygiene and the use of appropriate footwear are measures that can help reduce the risk of infection. Awareness and collective action are vital to prevent the spread of these parasites and protect the health of people living in vulnerable conditions. Ultimately, we can all make a difference by supporting initiatives that aim to improve sanitation and promote hygiene practices in underserved communities. Access to adequate living conditions is a fundamental right and crucial to the health and well-being of all. The feeling of walking barefoot on grass or sand can be liberating, but for many, this simple pleasure can turn into an invisible nightmare. In many parts of the world, especially in areas where sanitation is inadequate and hygiene is not a priority, direct contact with soil can expose people to worms that burrow into the skin and cause serious health problems. Imagine a scenario where you are walking barefoot on seemingly clean ground. However, this soil may be contaminated with larvae of parasites such as the worm. The worm, also known as cutaneous larva migrans, is a parasite that can penetrate human skin when it comes into contact with contaminated soil. When walking barefoot on soil that has come into contact with feces from infected animals, the larvae can pierce your skin and begin to move under it, causing a rash that can be extremely uncomfortable and painful. Another parasite that poses a serious threat is schistosoma, the cause of schistosomiasis. Unlike the worm, schistosoma does not penetrate the skin directly when walking, but its larvae can enter the body when swimming or coming into contact with contaminated water. These larvae pierce the skin and enter the bloodstream, where they travel to internal organs such as the liver and intestines, causing a range of health problems, including fever, abdominal pain, and, in more severe cases, organ damage. These parasites are most common in regions where sanitation and hygiene infrastructure is poor. People in rural or urban areas often do not have access to adequate toilet facilities, and soil or water may be contaminated with animal or human feces. Contact with this contaminated soil can lead to infections that are often difficult to treat and can cause prolonged suffering. To protect yourself from these parasites, it is essential to take simple but effective preventive measures. Wearing proper footwear whenever possible is one of the best ways to avoid direct contact with contaminated soil. This is especially important in areas where sanitation is not guaranteed and where the risk of exposure is higher. In addition, avoiding swimming in potentially contaminated water and taking precautions when walking in damp, dirty areas can help reduce the risk of infection. In areas where prevention is a constant concern, education on hygiene practices and access to information about the importance of wearing footwear are essential. Many communities have awareness and outreach programs that help improve living conditions and public health. The simple act of wearing footwear and avoiding contact with potentially contaminated areas can be a powerful way to protect yourself and your family from parasitic infections. Ultimately, protecting yourself from these parasites starts with small, everyday actions that can make a big difference. Taking care of your health and taking appropriate precautions is key to avoiding serious problems and ensuring a healthy, comfortable life. Awareness and action are key to combating these invisible risks and promoting a safer environment for everyone. Insects, often seen as insignificant little creatures, have the power to cause major health problems when they become vectors for parasitic worms. If you've ever had the uncomfortable sensation of being bitten by a mosquito or found fleas on your pet, you may not have realized the potential for these tiny insects to transmit serious diseases. However, the truth is that these vectors can play a crucial role in the spread of parasites, with effects that go far beyond a simple itch. A notorious example is filariasis, a disease caused by filarial worms transmitted by mosquitoes. In tropical and subtropical areas where mosquitoes are abundant, filariasis can be a serious problem. The life cycle of these worms begins when a mosquito bites an infected person, absorbing the parasite larvae. Then, when the mosquito bites another person, the larvae are transferred to the new host, where they develop into adult worms and cause a range of debilitating symptoms. Filariasis can lead to serious conditions such as lymphedema, which causes severe swelling in the legs and arms, and elephantiasis, a condition in which the skin and tissues become extremely thick and deformed. In addition to mosquitoes, other insects can also be vectors of worms. Fleas, for example, can transmit worm larvae that affect pets and, in some cases, can end up infecting humans. The presence of fleas can not only cause discomfort to your pet, but also pose a health risk to your family. In areas where hygiene is not ideal, these vectors proliferate easily, increasing the risk of parasite transmission. The link between poor hygiene and the proliferation of vectors is clear. Dirty and poorly maintained environments provide ideal conditions for insects to reproduce and thrive. Accumulated garbage, stagnant water, and cluttered environments are perfect places for mosquitoes and fleas to find a habitat to live and multiply. Therefore, maintaining good hygiene and taking care of the environment around you are essential steps to reduce the population of these vectors and, consequently, reduce the risk of parasitic infections. To protect yourself and your family from the risks associated with these vectors, it is important to take some simple but effective preventive measures. Using mosquito repellents is one of the most direct ways to protect your skin from mosquito bites. Additionally, installing mosquito nets on your beds and ensuring that windows and doors are well sealed can help keep mosquitoes out of your home. Keeping your home clean and free of standing water is also crucial to preventing mosquitoes from breeding. For pet owners, flea prevention should be a priority. Using flea products and ensuring that your pets are regularly treated can help reduce the risk of parasitic infections transmitted by these insects. In addition, keeping your home clean and free of dust and dirt helps to make the environment less attractive to fleas and other parasites. Awareness and action are key in the fight against vector-borne worm transmission. Although these parasites are small and often overlooked, their health effects can be significant. Taking steps to protect yourself and maintain a clean and well-maintained environment not only improves your quality of life, but also prevents serious health problems. By adopting these preventative practices, you contribute to a safer and healthier environment for everyone around you. Imagine the daily life of a young child, playing in a park, running around the yard, exploring the world around them. It is natural for them to put their hands in their mouths, a common behavior during their development. However, what seems like a normal part of childhood can, in some situations, turn into a significant health risk. Lack of good personal hygiene practices is a problem that can have serious consequences, especially when it comes to the spread of parasitic worms. The simple act of not washing your hands after using the bathroom or before eating can be more harmful than you might think. In many homes and communities, inadequate personal hygiene practices are a reality that is often overlooked. When someone doesn't wash their hands after using the bathroom, they can carry parasitic worm eggs that end up being transferred to the food or surfaces they touch. This creates an opportunity for these eggs to spread and infect others, creating a continuous cycle of infection. Children can be even more vulnerable. They are more likely to put their hands in their mouths, especially after playing outside. This behavior is a natural part of development, but when proper hand washing is not practiced, worm eggs that may be present on their hands end up being ingested. A common example is pinworm infection, an infection caused by worms known as pinworms. The eggs of this parasite can be found in the feces of an infected person and spread throughout the environment. When a child comes into contact with these eggs and then puts their hands in their mouth, infection can easily occur. In addition to worm eggs, other parasites can also be transmitted through poor hygiene. Worms can cause a range of uncomfortable and serious symptoms, including severe anal itching, abdominal pain, and even growth disorders in children. These symptoms can have a significant impact on quality of life and overall health. Therefore, the importance of teaching good hygiene practices from an early age cannot be overstated. Teaching children to wash their hands properly before meals and after using the toilet is one of the best ways to prevent parasitic infections. This not only protects their health, but also helps to break the chain of parasite transmission, benefiting the community as a whole. Personal hygiene education should start early and be reinforced regularly. Making hand washing a part of a daily routine is crucial. Parents and caregivers play a key role in this process by setting an example and explaining the importance of hygiene in a simple and understandable way for children. At home, ensuring that all family members follow proper hygiene practices can make a big difference. Washing hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially before eating and after using the bathroom, is a practice that should be encouraged and practiced by everyone. In addition, educating people about the importance of not touching their faces with dirty hands and keeping environments clean can significantly contribute to preventing infections. In short, poor personal hygiene can have a profound impact on health, especially when it comes to the spread of parasitic worms. Teaching and practicing good hygiene practices from an early age not only protects individual health, but also helps create a safer and healthier environment for everyone. Taking care of personal hygiene is a simple but crucial step in protecting against parasites and promoting a healthy lifestyle. A family gathered at home, with their pets, the adorable dogs and cats, running and playing happily. These animals, who provide us with so much love and companionship, can also inadvertently become vehicles of infection for parasitic worms, a reality that can be both surprising and worrying to many. Pets, especially dogs and cats, play a significant role in the transmission of parasites that affect humans. It is a common fact that many of us who have these beloved furry friends do not immediately consider. However, these animals can be intermediate hosts for several types of worms, meaning they can carry parasites that can eventually be transmitted to people around them. To better understand this, consider the life cycle of some common parasites. For example, worms such as tapeworms and roundworms can infect dogs and cats, which are often exposed to contaminated environments, such as outdoor areas where other animals may have laid eggs or larvae. When an animal ingests these eggs or larvae, the parasite develops inside it. The problem occurs when these worms or their eggs are released into the environment, mainly through the animal's feces. Direct contact with the feces of an infected animal is one of the main forms of transmission. This can happen when owners do not properly clean the areas where their animals go to the bathroom, or when they handle the feces without proper protection. Even indirect contact, such as playing with a dog or cat that may have touched a contaminated area, can result in the transfer of parasites. Young children, who are naturally more likely to touch the ground and then put their hands in their mouths, may be particularly at risk. Symptoms of a parasitic worm infection can range from mild discomfort to quite serious conditions. In humans, these parasites can cause abdominal pain, nausea, and other digestive problems. The infection can manifest as intense anal itching, which is especially common in cases of pinworms, caused by a type of worm commonly found in pets. To prevent these infections, regular deworming of pets is essential. This is a process in which animals are treated with specific medications to eliminate worms and their larvae. It is a practice recommended by veterinarians and should be part of your pet's routine care. Ensuring that animals are dewormed according to the suggested schedule can help significantly reduce the risk of parasite transmission to humans. In addition, maintaining good hygiene when handling animals and their feces is essential. Always wash your hands thoroughly after cleaning your pet's toilet area or after playing with your pet. If you have young children, teach them to wash their hands regularly and avoid touching their mouths after playing with their pets. Keeping your pet's living environment clean and free of feces is also an important step in preventing the spread of parasites. Therefore, taking care of your pet's health and practicing good hygiene are crucial measures to protect not only your furry friends, but also the health of your entire family. By ensuring that your pet is free of parasites and maintaining proper cleaning practices, you can help prevent infections and ensure a healthier environment for everyone. These precautions not only help protect your pet, but also ensure that everyone in the household, especially children, is protected from parasitic diseases. Having discussed how pets can be vectors for worms and the importance of deworming, let's explore how different environments influence exposure to parasites. The reality is that worm infestation can vary significantly depending on whether you live in an urban or rural area. These differences have a direct impact on our health and the measures we need to take to protect ourselves. In urban areas, life is marked by a more advanced sanitation system and infrastructure that, in theory, should minimize the risk of worm infection. However, even in cities with good sanitation conditions, problems can arise. Improperly disposed of garbage, broken pipes, and pollution can create conditions conducive to the proliferation of parasites. Worms can be found in areas where sewage treatment is not efficient, and the water may be contaminated. This can be a problem in neighborhoods where the garbage collection system is deficient or in areas with high population density, where sewage can end up leaking into residential areas. In addition, urban environments can present other risks, such as the presence of rodents and insects that are known vectors of worms. These animals, which adapt easily to city life, can carry parasites and contribute to the spread of diseases. Even with good hygiene and sanitation practices, the presence of these vectors can be a constant threat. On the other hand, in rural areas, the scenario is somewhat different. Lack of access to basic sanitation services and clean water increases the risk of parasitic infections. In many rural areas, basic sanitation is limited or non-existent, and open defecation is common. This practice can lead to contamination of soil and water with worm eggs, creating a cycle of infection that is difficult to control. Water from untreated wells or springs can also be a vehicle for parasites, especially in areas where resources for water treatment and purification are limited. The situation in rural areas can be aggravated by the lack of access to medical and health services, which makes it difficult to diagnose and treat parasitic infections. Poor sanitary conditions and close contact with soil, which is often contaminated, increase the risk of exposure to worms. Agricultural practices and inadequate management of animal waste can also contribute to environmental contamination. In both contexts, hygiene education plays a crucial role in preventing parasitic infections. In urban areas, where sanitation is generally better, education should focus on maintaining clean infrastructure, proper waste management, and protection from vectors. In rural areas, education should focus on basic hygiene practices, access to clean water, and the importance of basic sanitation. Teaching people to recognize the signs of infection and how to take preventative measures is key to reducing the impact of parasitic worms. For example, in an urban area, raising awareness about the importance of not leaving litter exposed and keeping surrounding areas clean can help control rodent and insect populations. In rural areas, providing information on how to build safe and practical latrines to ensure that water is treated can have a significant impact on community health. Understanding the differences in exposure to parasitic worms between urban and rural environments is essential to implementing effective prevention and control strategies. By tailoring measures to the specific needs and conditions of each location, we can improve public health and reduce the risk of parasitic infections for everyone. regardless of where they live. Staying informed and taking simple preventive measures can make a big difference to your health and well-being. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Share it with friends and family so everyone can be better informed and protected against these risks. Until next time,